Welcome back to Beacon 42, round 4. Had a bit of a miss of week 3, both a bit busy. So we'll get to it for week 4 and hopefully we don't miss too many during the season. So news early this week, Beef. Bit sad. Morgan from the Cowboys. There's a lot of talk about him being forced into retirement from injury.
Yeah, well, not sure it's sad, but unless you're a Cowboys fan. Yeah, look, big news if it happens. He's still a young man, 29, right? So would be disappointing end to his career. He's been a pretty good player, but Father Time brings everyone down eventually, right? So, I guess the news that Adam Reynolds is sniffing around with the Cowboys is interesting as well, because what do the Rabbits do? Do the Rabbits now come to the party and give him a multi-year deal because there's other people potentially with a pot full of gold to give to him, or do they stick to their guns and only offer him a 1-year gig?
Yeah. The Reynolds thing is very intriguing. He's obviously been chasing for 3 years. Club A wants to give him 1. But look, I can't see South budging on it myself, and I think Reynolds will go to the market, and it looks like a really good fit up in the Cowboys. They desperately need some organisation there. They've never recovered since JT retired, and that's just the facts. And they need a steadying mind there in the middle of the field during the games, because even their forwards are calling themselves out about being soft, and that's not ideal.
Yeah, no, he'd be a great in for most teams, right? And he would be really good for them. The only thing is, if the Cowboys give him a 3-year and South stay with 1, then I think he's gone. But if Souths go to 2, I reckon he stays.
Yeah.
So, let's see how it goes.
I agree. Yeah, it's all speculation at the moment, but as you say all the time, where there's smoke, there's fire. So something's going on and something has to give soon. So round 4, the Easter weekend, always a good one, except this year. What a bunch of dud games.
Yes. What a weekend. I mean, why didn't we have last weekend's games this weekend?
Yeah.
When there's public holidays, more people with the opportunity to watch, and this week, we've got a couple of games that, you're kind of scratching to say, oh, well, this will be competitive, right? So anyway, hopefully I'm wrong. Hopefully some of the cellar dwellers pick it up a notch, but difficult to see.
Yeah. So we'll start off on Thursday night with the Sea Eagles versus Panthers.
Yeah. So I noticed that the Sea Eagles are in from $9 to $7.50. So they're firming quite a lot. So I've missed my opportunity to put some money on Manly, which I would never have done, because I think the Panthers will smash them by 38.
38. That's a big score. I can see Desi trying to get the boys up to be slightly competitive. I think it'll be less than 12, but Panthers to do it pretty comfortably. They're going to be scratching around a little bit to cover their loss of Dylan Edwards with the hand injury. So,
yeah, he was really good last week. I never rated him as a fullback, right? But, he's been really good this season, But, hey, Stephen Crichton's not a bad player, right? So certainly had some zip, doesn't he?
He does. And that lump of a lad, Burton, that filled in last week, he can kick it a mile. He might have to do it from the centres this week.
He's a unit, isn't he? I mean, you can see why Barrett wants him in a hurry, right?
Yeah. Well, good segue. Straight into the Dogs v Rabbits for the early Friday game. What hope have the Dogs got in this?
Well, the Dogs have got 1% hope, right? And that is that the Rabbits knock themselves out like James and Chris and the Sharkies did last weekend, right? So before the 18th man comes in, that the Rabbits are down to 11 players because of 3 double HIA incidents. And that's the only chance that the Dogs have got for this week, right? So I'm backing the Rabbits in a tight one by 26.
Right. Well, that's closer than your Panthers prediction. Yeah. there's not much going on at the Dogs. I gave them a bit of a shout to be not cellar dwellers before the season started, but yeah, they're showing absolutely nothing, and I think affirming is pretty good favourites for the Spoon right now. South to win that by a fair bit, well over 13 plus, and both those games are going to be blowouts. Second game Friday, a little bit of interest there. The Storm v Broncos, a bit of history.
Yeah, well, Broncos last start winners. They're on the roll. They're back. And this week they get Lodge and Haas back. So a couple of good ins in their forwards. But, for me, they've got pretty decent forwards, right? And they've got pretty good forward depth as well. Their bench isn't too bad. But, the big issue is their backs are shit. And therefore, they've got no chance against the Storm, right? Pappenhausen's back this week. Mind you, Nico Hines is a pretty good replacement for him last week, right? But, the Storm will give it to him pretty good, I think, right? So I'm taking the Storm by 16 points in this
one. Right. And, with all the COVID stuff happening, the Storm fought really hard to make sure Brisbane had to go to Melbourne. They got their way. And so, there won't be a neutral ground to even help the Broncos. Big addition having Hassan Lodge back. I don't think their backs are horrible. Their halves are horrible. Milford, the only thing he's got is that monster bomb that no one seems to be able to catch. And, geez, well, the Storm knew what they were doing when they let go of Brodie Croft. He's just not got it. And once again, Kevy's got Dearden on the bench. And last week he played Dearden for 7 minutes or something. So, yeah, I can't see how the Storm can't win this by 13 plus.
Yeah, well, Kevy Walters got a smile last week after winning that game. That might be his only smile this season.
Yeah. Well, there's a chance. So only the two games on Saturday, and interesting news today is that both of those games have been confirmed and moved to Cogra.
Yeah, so Dragons' home ground, Cogra Stadium. Cogra Oval, I should say. Oki Jubilee Oval. So Sharkies and Cowgirls. Geez, how could you? The Cowboys are a bit like Manly, a bit like the Doggies. How could you put your money on them, right? So I'm surprised they're at $3.25 against the Sharks, right? Because I would have thought that the Sharkies would be much bigger favourites than this one, right? So Sharkies at $1.35, short, but pretty good value, I think, right? So Sharkies to win by 10 points.
Yeah, I think that's fair. I think it'll be a little bit, not a blowout, let's put it that way. Sharks are missing a couple. Big news out of the Cowboys there, I was looking at the lineup, is their left edge, or right edge, I should say, where Clifford and Masters were just owned last week, have both been dropped. So we've got Benny Hampton coming into the halves. And who's the centre in there? Connolly Lemuelu. Never heard of him.
Well, good opportunity for the kid. So, that's one of the things. I mean, we seem to know the depth at your own club, but you don't really know who's coming through in the others. So,
yeah.
So other than the Roosters, we know that they've got all the depth, right? But it'll be interesting to see. And, if he turns it on, it's not like they're going to have a lot of intelligence on him, right? They're not going to know what they're getting.
Yeah, true story. And look, I know Cogger's your favourite ground, being the Dragons' home field. It really concerns me about that the tight corners in the end goal there, where there's been a couple of injuries and they've put some mats right up in the corner. It's not even a metre between the playing surface and the concrete fence.
Yeah, look, it's a fair point, and the grounds crew could look at putting another mat there just to make it totally safe. Look, it's tight, but hey, you know what? What a great suburban ground. Love suburban grounds, right? But
Correct.
It's always great to get a beer on the hill there. And even though it is painful to get through, with a big crowd, right? But given how Dragons are expected to be, I think it'd be pretty easy to get a beer when the Dragons are playing, and it'll be even easier when the Titans are playing the Raiders, right? So Titans and Raiders, this is a match of the round, and unfortunately for the Tits, it's in Sydney. But look, I'm a bit torn on this one. I'm not quite sure. I go back and forth as to who's going to win it, right? I just think that the Raiders got a bit more depth, and I like their forward depth on the bench, and therefore I'm going to take the Raiders in a tight one by 4 points.
Yeah, look, I'm struggling to really see whether the Titans have got it against a real genuine top tier team. So it's going to be a big test. And look, I hope they go really well. And let's remember that this is going to be the return for Ryan James against the team that he grew up playing with for years and then was given the arse. But the big news for me there is that Ash Taylor's out and Tanner Boyd filled in last week. And the $1 Million Man's not even being spoken about anymore because Tanner Boyd did a really solid job. So I just think it carries on.
Well, it'd be interesting to see, right? I mean, because Fogarty is that, non-flashy, gets the team around the park sort of bloke. You don't need two like that. And Ash Taylor's lost his spark, right? So maybe Tanner Boyd's got that little bit of spunk about him that can turn a play from nothing into something, right? So, look, it's a good opportunity for the kid, right? And it's also a good opportunity for you guys to see, do you want to let him go or not next year?
Yeah, exactly. And on Tanner Boyd, he got his debut by playing in the hooker role, so his defence is pretty solid, and that's one thing that we really lack on the edges there. So, look, my heart's going to go with this one. I'm going to pick the Titans by 2, but yeah, my head's thinking that it's going to be a very tight game. So, then we move on to the Sunday game, the Knights v Dragons. Where's that one being played?
Yeah, well, up in Newcastle.
Newcastle.
Yeah, look, the Knights were disappointing last week, right? So they really should have won that game for Mitchell's 300th. This will be, who was that guy who played in the second row last year for the Dragons who went to Newcastle?
Tyson Frizzell,
that's him. Be his first game against the Dragons. Watching the Dragons games this year, I don't think they miss him at all, right? And that is a total lie. Look, Tyson Frizzell is an unbelievable player and has been awesome for the Knights this year. He's going to be up for this game, right? And as much as my heart says that my Dragons are going to get a win, I just cannot see that happening, right? Benny Hunt's out after playing 71 minutes on a broken leg. Warrior. Therefore, with Adam Clune, who has a great kicking game but can't tackle for shit and can't really attack, I just can't see Dragons really competing in this for the long term of the game. So I've got the Knights winning by 14.
Yeah, I think the Knights will do this pretty comfortably. They're going to want to bounce back after last week not winning it for Pierce, as you mentioned. And yeah, I didn't know what I was going to say if you didn't come out and say you were joking about Frizzell, because he has been lights out. And
he's been awesome.
I can't blame you for trying to forget him, because there's a massive gap on your edge in that forward pack.
Yeah, but I also can't blame him for leaving too. So as much as I try to hate him, I can't. So good luck, Tyson. Good luck.
And just interesting news.
Talk to you soon.
Yes. Interesting news for the Knights is Green's back.
Yeah, look, that's a good one, right? I mean, I think he's going to be important for them in the second half of the year, right? I mean, he's a much better player than Kurt Mann is, right? With a ball in hand. So, yeah, I think he's a really good addition between him and Frizzell. Yeah. That could get them into the top 4, right? But, I mean, when you drop games against the Tigers like they did last week, that makes your top 4 dreams pretty difficult to achieve, right? So therefore they can't back up with a loss this week, right? So
yeah, exactly. And Shane, the big dude that filled in at centres there, Dominic Young, didn't get another start, especially when Shiva Sharkey, my goodness, what a pair of hands he's got. He's got bricks. He couldn't catch anything. He's held his spot. But
couldn't catch COVID in Brisbane.
He clearly doesn't go to any hens nights in Byron either. But yeah, that just stunned me that he kept his spot after last week. But
he looked pretty good. He looked pretty good, that kid, right?
Yes.
He's a unit too, right? Could you imagine him and Bradman Best in the centres on different sides, right? I mean, it's just...
lacked a bit of defence, though. There was one try that went in.
Yeah, sure.
Clearly an error on the young kid's hands, but he'll learn from that. So,
yeah, look, I remember at one stage I'm referring to him like Jamal Idris, right? So you can see some comparisons, right? So anyway, good luck, kid.
Yeah, exactly right. And the other game that night will be Roosters versus the Warriors. This will be a good one.
Yeah, well, this will be a better game than what we thought it was going to be, right? Now that the Roosters haven't got any halves. So big blows for them last week. Certainly Keary, right? Lachlan Lamb out for 6 weeks is not a good one too, right? But lots of raps on Sam Walker. So let's see how the kid goes, right? So he's been carving it up in reserve grade, right? So if you've seen any of the highlights of him, right? So he'll be ready to go, I think. Drew Hutchison in the halves. I think he struggles for match fitness. I'm not sure he's fit enough to be an 80-minute player. And he's a yard slow for the first grade, right? I remember him playing for the Dragons and him being a big hope for the future, but he's just that little bit slow on his kicks, a little bit slow with what he does, and too many passes that he throws, like a cutout pass for an intercept. There's my big tip for the weekend. There'll be an intercept from Drew Hutchison, caught by one of the Warriors centres, for them to run 60 metres, 70 metres, maybe 120 metres to score a try. Yep.
Right.
So anyway, so who am I backing? Well, geez, Victor the Inflictor's back, right? I mean, he's a huge in for them, right? But I don't think Jake Friend's back, right?
No.
So, no? Right. So they're still a bit skinny in centre, in hooker. That young kid, Butcher, who'd been playing there, it's like, he must weigh like, 57 kilos or something, right? So not much of him. So I'm going to take those big Warrior boys, right, to over-trounce the Chookies by 7 points.
Yeah, look, I'm going the Warriors to cause an upset this week as well. But just a little bit of late news today that you may not be up on is there's a lot of talk that Freddie Lussick, the hooker you're talking about, not quite up to it. There's a chance he's going to miss out. They're going to put Hutchison in at hooker and bring Joey Manu into 5/8. So
right.
there's all sorts of talk of what can happen there. I seriously doubt they're going to bring in the other kid, Suiali.
No.
Yeah, Joey Suiali. They're not going
to... They'll put Ikavalu on the wing and move BMOS into a centre or something. Right?
So, exactly right. Yeah. So look, we'll have to wait until game day to really know what's going on there. But I just think there's too many players out for the Roosters and the Warriors.
I'm really surprised that the Chooks are $1.50 in this game and the Warriors are $2.60.
Yeah.
So, I'd be putting my hard-earned rupiah on the Warriors to get the chocolates in this one.
Yeah, I agree. And let's not forget, big Lindsay Collins is out for the Chooks as well with the head knock he got last week.
Right. Well, that just gives Jared Warrior-Hargraves more time to go fucking stupid on the field, right? So.
Well, that's right. I love the guy, but he went book last week and almost.
Look, let him and Adam Fanua go at it, right? They're both Kiwi brothers, right? So that'll be a good battle.
Yeah. And then we got a surprise Monday game with the Easter long weekend as we got the Tigers and the Eels after the Sydney show.
Yeah, well, happy Easter, everyone, right? But yeah, look, Tigers last start winners in a bit of a boil over. Eels, Eels got up, so I don't know how you can go past the Eels, right, in this one. I don't know how you could ever back the Tigers. I heard some idiot about 4 weeks ago backing the Tigers to make the top 8, right? And I bet he wishes he had that bet over again, right? So which I do, right? So look, the Eels, $1.31. Look, I think the Eels will win this comfortably. I can see them winning by 10 points, maybe greater than that, right? But Eels just got they got a lot to play for this year. I just don't think the Tigers are shown that they're mentally strong enough, So Eels for me.
Yeah, agree. And bookies have got them as favourites as well, $1.31. They got both Moses and Madison coming back after head knocks. So two of their big guns making it through to start. And yeah, as you say, seeing the Tigers in the top 8 at the start of the season was a stretch. There's another bloke that thought the Broncos might as well. So we'll call that a draw.
Yeah, exactly.
But yeah, the forwards of the Eels are just going to be far too strong for that Tigers side. And yeah, I'm tipping that's going to be a blowout. I'm actually going to go 18 plus for that one.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah. So look, happy Easter, everybody, and enjoy the footy. And gamble responsibly.
Just one last thing. I'd just like to shout out to our major sponsor, Gauge Roads. I'd just like to thank them for their support for our show, right? And keep the free beers coming.
Nice. All right, mate. Stay safe. See you next week.
All right. Take care. Talk to you later.